Welcome to our kitchen. Today we prepare ancient Roman libum adoreum, a spelt cheesecake mentioned by Virgil in the Aeneid, according to the recipe found in Cato's De Agricultura. We start with ingredients. We need spelt flour, cheese, eggs, and bay laurel leaves. We mince about 350 grams of cheese and knead it with half the amount of spelt flour and half an egg. We halved the amounts in the original recipe to make a libum that fits our baking pan. Adoreus, also called far in the Roman sources, corresponds to Triticum spelta, one of the three types of hulled wheat now called farro in Italy and used interchangeably. The Romans had all three cereals, although Triticum monococcum and Triticum dicoccum were both called zea or semen, as we read in sources such as Dioscorides Materia Medica and Pliny's Naturalis Historia. For the purposes of this recipe, however, you can use whatever type of farro you have on hand, without significantly altering the final result. Libum adoreum is mentioned by Virgil in a famous passage of the Aeneid, where Aeneas and his companions have just landed on the shores of Latium and decide to offer a dapse in sacrifice to Jupiter, a ritual meal with liba adorea and wild fruits. As they eat the liba, they remember the prophecy of the harpy Celeno, who said in an earlier passage of the poem that they would devour their own tables. At the time, they interpreted these words in a darker way than how the prophecy actually came to pass, as an omen of starvation in the new foreign land. But understanding their literal meaning is the tension between Aeneas and the others. Their tables, poetically meant, are the liba themselves, used as plates. As Virgil writes, these ritual cakes are willed by fate, the preordained destiny of rich in Italy and found in Rome. It is historically and culturally interesting that the first food eaten by Aeneas in Latium is a sacrificial cake, and specifically a cake that is typical of Roman culture, such as libum, which alludes to the fact that after leaving Troy, Aeneas and his Trojan companions have already become Romans, thus destined to found the great city of Rome. A pictorial representation of this passage of the Aeneid is probably what has been found in a recent discovery in Pompeii, interpreted by someone as a depiction of an improbable ancient Roman pizza, a very anachronistic idea. In fact, as we have already seen a few times, the concept of pizza itself was born in the Middle Ages, and it referred to a dish very different from today's pizza. Links to recipes for medieval pizza can be found in the description below. We place the libum on a layer of bay laurel leaves with a bit of olive oil and cook it in the oven for about 25 minutes. If you're interested in the history of cakes and the use of cereals throughout history, read early Italian recipes, cereals, bread, pasta and pies, the second volume in a series about historical cooking between the Antiquity and the end of the Renaissance, with the first dedicated to vegetables, fruit, herbs and flowers. To learn more about ancient food, read our book Ancient Roman Cooking, where you'll find information about the ingredients, agriculture, animal breeding, food preservation, and meals in the Antiquity, as well as several recipes translated from the original sources. The translations of the recipes from Cato's De Agricultura and the full text of the Re Cucinaria are available on our Patreon page. where you can also find several translations of historical sources and articles about ancient and medieval food. All the links are in the description below, along with a list of our books on historical food, and the links to purchase our merchandise and buy us a beer to support our work. This libum was delicious, with the aroma of bay laurel leaves that gave complexity and flavor to the mixture of cheese and spelt. A dish that can be served as an appetizer as well as a breakfast or afternoon snack, with olives, eggs, or vegetables, which are perfect ways to try one of the most significant dishes of the Roman countryside, allowing us to get back in touch with the archaic traditions of our ancestors. If you're interested in ancient foods and flavors, subscribe our channel and consider supporting us on Patreon.